Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sadashivasamarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Narayanam Padmabhavam Vasishtam Shaktim Chatatputra Parasharam Cha Vyasam Shukam Gaudapadam Mahantam Govinda Yogindra Matasya Sishyam Sri Shankaracharya Matasya Padma Padam Chahasamalakam Chashishyam Tam Todakam Vartikakaramanyan Asmat Gurun Santatamanatosmi Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Krudao Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Namashri Shankarananda Guru Padam Pujanmane Savilasa Mahamoha Graha Graseka Karmane. We are in which verse now?
262.
Huh?
You have to start 262.
60 to 62.
62 we have to start.
262. Okay. I think we finished that. No, not yet. We saw that that knot is between Chida Abhasa, Chid Abhasa and Ahankar. That's a Ahankar Chidatmana Mano Eki Kritya Avivekataha. We read that 261 together. Ahankar Chidatmano Eki Kritya Vivekataha Idam me syad iti cha kama shabditaha. Kama shabditaha ichaha. The desire, idam me syad. Let this be mine, let this be mine. There is basic discontentment caused here by this knot. Ahankara chidatmano. Between the chit, the consciousness, and the ahankar, the individuality identified with body, mind, intellect, and extending that further to whatever is considered as me and mine. All of them, ekikritya, without discriminating these two, between the consciousness, pure, and the apparent presence called ego, the illusory one which is identifying itself with all the inert things, body, mind, etc. That is called ahankar. The nature of ahankar is tadatmyam. Tadatmya rupo hi ahankaraha. Where I and mine are there, that is called ahankar. So, ahankar chitatmano ekikritya, becoming one, avivekataha, due to absence of clear discrimination. Today also we saw that जड़ा और चेतन उसका वो अलग करना मूड जनों को नहीं आता है. तो अविवेकतः, because of absence of viveka. Now that causes that is the cause, the knot is the cause, the kama desire is the effect. And what is that nature of kama? Idam me syat, iti icha. So this let it be mine, let this be mine. In other words, feeling incomplete. The nature of this karma is, or nature of the knot is, the connection between the unparent connection or bondage between these two, unholy wedlock. And this causes the incompleteness. So here, obviously the body is not complete by itself because it's changing. And it is not complete because it constantly wants to be sustained with the objects of the world. Today you eat, then are you content till lunch? Yes. After lunch, are you content? Yes, forever. Let me go to sleep. Get up. Tea, chai, coffee. Then you only be pilia for some time. Are you okay now? Meeting for dinner. So the body constantly seeking, and that is discontentment. Mind also. Are you happy? Sort of. So again, it remains in discontent. This discontentment is the nature of the ego to sustain itself. Incomplete apurnatvam. So therefore, this discontentment, so long it is there, desire will never end. So the next verse, he proceeds on. This desire called kama, and which is mere desire is not called kama. So the knot is the one which is the inherent cause of this desire. So if you want to overcome this desire, what is to be done through jnanam to snap this knot? So this knot, removing the knot between the Chidatma and Ahankar, some volunteers stand there. Why are they running there?
Going to the class.
Oh, they're going to the class. We are running race. No, they keep the door open. So the knot is between two things alone, knot is possible, and this knot is actually not. Knowing that it is not is the only way to come out of it. That uska bhed karna hai. The word bhed has two meaning. One, bid, to cut. Another is bheda, differentiate. So in these various places he uses it differently. You must understand this as we look at it now. Apraveshya chidatmanam pritak prashyanaham kritim ichastu koti vastuni nabado granti betatah aprameshya chidatmanam pradak pashyannaham kritim ichastu koti vastuni nabado buddhi betatah. Ichastu is written, some places it's written ichanstu. So both are right, we'll see both of them. It's written ichanstu there. Where? Oh, in the PDF. In the book it's not chastu, right? Ichastu. Yeah. So, chidatmanam apraveshya. Apraveshya means not joining. Really speaking, asangam krutva. Consciousness should be independently perceived as not connected to ego. Pritak pashyan, distinguishedly seeing, ahankritim pritak pashyan. Ahankar ko दूसरा है अहंकार ऐसा देखने से, while seeing that, So ahankar is that which by nature identifying with the body, etc. That's as you know, the nature of ahankar is to identify. Hmm. So when we recognize that the nature of ahankara is to identify with the body, with the mind, with the intellect, as well as with the objects, the people, my family, my dog, my cat, my snake, not snake, but anyway, my car, all this is a natural identification that happens. Why do I say natural? We'll see that later. So there is a natural identification that happens. As even as we are born in this world, with this body, we actual natural identification of the body. One should not say that, okay, when you are born, you should not identify with the body. No, it will identify with the body. Because our personality is this. But even as we are living, we must distinguish between the natural identification that happens with the body, etc. Different from that is consciousness. Pratak Pashyan. That's why it's Chidatmanam Pratak Pashyan Ahankratim Apraveshya, without joining with Ahankar. Now, interesting thing is, would by this very distinguishing consciousness independent of the Ahankar, will the desire end? No. Ichchastu, ichchanstu or ichan, one who is desiring or desires, koti vastuni, in crores of things, they happen in the person who is one who is living even after separating consciousness from ahankar. May the desires flow into him. It is said in Bhagavad Gita also. Apuryamanamajala pradishtam samudramaba pravishanti yatvati tat kamaha ayam pravishanti sarve. Kamaha pravishanti. Kama desires will come into him. What happens to such a person? Like the water that are pouring into the ocean from various rivers, will the ocean will ever become overflowing? Apuryamanam achala pradishtam, because apuryamanam, filled to the brim, but achalaha, unchanging, unmoving, pradishtam, samudram, apaha pravishanti sarve. Even then what happens? Complete? Sashanti mapnoti na kama kami. Kamasya kami na bhavati. Kamasya kamina, he does not become kamin. Apuryamanam achala pradishtam samudramaba pravishanti yatvat tatvat kamayam pravishanti. Kamaha pravishanti ayam. Na shanti mapnoti na kama kami. So the difference between somebody asked me this question, I think recently. What is the difference between a person who is enlightened and otherwise? Would both of them, one will have desire, another will not have desire? No, both will have desires. But that desire which a Mahatma has is seen very clearly by him. Later on he will say that is because of prarabdha. So as the notes below, as you see, there are three kinds of identification: sahaja ahankar, kamaja ahankar, brahmaja ahankar. So these three types of ahankars are there: sahaja ahankar, kama ahankar, and what is that called? Sahaja, kamaja, and brahmaja. So what is that which happens as I am conscious? That is called sahaja. I am consciousness. That is sahaja ahankar. Because one is the body, as soon as it is born, the buddhi starts to reflect the consciousness. So the reflection of consciousness that takes place in the buddhi, which is called chidabhasa, that ability, that I, the individual being, that sahaja ahankar, that very nature is sahaja. And the body, the physical body, which is with which one is born, it's called karmaja, not kamaja, karmaja. Because of past karma, prarabdha karma is only we got this body, karmaja. But then, based upon the identification with the body, one remains discontent and say, I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that. For the sustenance of the body, what is needed, that is not brahmaja, that is again sahaja. A hunger and thirst, they are not out of delusion. Even a Mahatma who lives in this physical world until he finishes his prarabdha needs to sustain the body. Kana hai, pina hai, sona hai. Kana, pina, sona. Pina, kana, sona. It's there. But that alone is not his life. So eating and drinking and sleeping and all these things which are naturally necessary for the body to sustain does not disturb him. So, otherwise we'll say, oh, Mahatma bhi खाता है, वो प्राकृत जन भी खाता है, उसका फर्क क्या है? What is the difference? As far as that eating, sleeping, drinking and exercise, there is no difference at all. But we always think that Mahatma means you should not eat, right? You should not drink, you should not sleep. Mahatma वो सोया नहीं है. So yes, 100 days he remained without eating, 100 days he remained water, and tapasvi hai. That is not really, Vedanta doesn't look at that way. So, icchanstu koti vastu bihi, may here koti vastuni, may have so many such desires may come to him, but na badaha granti betataha, because he has cut down. Here the word granti bedat na badaha. Badaha na. So they do not bind him at all. So that is the reason why one cannot merely looking at a person and say, "Hey Mahatma, hey, oh nahi baat hai." Na badaha means there is no trouble created to that person at all. Na bhadataha. Na badaha. Now there is no trouble for such a person, even as he had. What happened? It disappeared from. Right?
No, kids are coming.
Kids are coming.
Still.
Was it standing there? You have to put a sentry there, standing with there. So, Granthi Bedataha. Because of Granthi has become bid, cut. Granthi has become completely snapped. What Granthi? Between the consciousness and the Ahankar, the distinction is clearly seen. Therefore, they not misunderstood to be one for the other. That is called the knot. There is Ajnyonya Adhyasa. Right? Ahankara is seen to be a consciousness, or consciousness seem to be Ahankar. This is called the knot. Ekikritya, as he said before, which is not seen as two, they are seen as one. But now he has seen them as separate. The one which I am, the other one is apparent. The apparent one is the one which is going through the prarabdha. That prarabdha does not affect me, the consciousness. So this way, the identification of the ego with the intelligent and all-seeing spirit is called brahmaja, because it is the result of delusion. When the ignorance disappears, it also disappears, never to return. But the other two continues. What are the other two? Karmaja, prarabdha karmanaha, prarabdha karma, because of the prarabdha karmas, and the other one, which is natural reflection of the consciousness that is taking place in the buddhi. That chidabhasa, that takes place, which is natural and that's sahaja. So he continues in the next verse. Kranti betebi sambhavya
Granti Devi Sambhavya
ichcha prarabdha doshatah
Icha Prarabdha Doshatah
Uddvapi papa bahulyat
Udvapi Papa Bahulyat
asantosho yata tava
Asantosho Yatha Tava
Kranti bedo sambhavyaha ichcha prarabdha doshatah buddhvapi papa bahulyat asantosho yata tava. Earlier what he said, even buddhvapi asantoshaha, asantushtaha, so that is why the question raised by him, right? Where is that? The verse number, where is that? Verse number 257. Ittam yatvapi asuntushtaha kechit kuta idiryatam. Hey, somebody asked that the Purvapakshi asked, Ittam nyatva api, having known this at all, also, what? Chit pratyaksha rupena asti, aparokshena chitam, aparokshena chidatmanam janami aham, iti nyatva api asuntushtaha kechit. Some people are seen to be discontent. Kutaha iti iritam. How is that? Then he said, no, that is because of absence of complete knowledge of the scriptures. They probably know scholarly, theoretically, but they are not imbibed or they have not emulated that knowledge into themselves as their own. I am that very consciousness. I am that very nature of being which is witness. None of the other things which seem to be there are belonging to me. This way of distinguishing ahankar and consciousness, which is apparently look like one, has not been stamped. And that is the reason. Now, that's why he says, Buddhvavi papa bahulyad asantoshaha yata tava. Tava means, according to you, what you have said earlier. Why you said that Buddhvapi asantoshaha papa bahulyat? Because of the impurities of the mind in the form of sinful thoughts. So, therefore, in the case of a Mahatma, Granthi Bede api, even as he has cut the Granthi, the knots of the heart, Sambhavyaha ichchaha. Ichchaha sambhavyaha. The desires will be there, but prarabdha doshataha, because of the prarabdha. And this prarabdha, obviously, the individual who is living with that knowledge, with the complete recognition of his own self as the self, yet he will watch the body going through the various sickness and old age and other things, body and the mind and situations around us challenging him or her with respect to bringing in good and bad situations. But because of the very knowledge, he knows that I am immortal self, he will not be subject to become victim of those things at all. That is the difference. And so this you cannot see externally. Oh, Sant Mahatma को भूख लगा भूख लगी है लगा है लगी है भूख इज लगी फेमिनिन ओके और प्याज 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 भी लगी है अच्छा ठीक प्यास लगी है भूख लगी है खाना खाता है वो महात्मा भी खाना खाता है पीता है सब करता है तो उसमें अलग या उसका फर्क क्या है व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस देन between so from the externally when you look at it वो भी चलता है that's why he asked that question किमासी द व्रजे द किम isn't that Kim asida, how does he sit? Kim bhasate, what does he say? Bhashati, what does he speak? How does he sit? How does he walk? Krishna only smiled. Normal. What else you expect? Fly or what? So one cannot merely, and people generally expect the Mahatmas to do something peculiar than others. So then only they will say, oh, Mahatma hai. ये साधारण काम नहीं करता है. He doesn't do normal work, doesn't he? Something different he does. So, prarabdha doshatah ichcha sambhavyaha. Desires will be there even as the knowledge of the self taken place, which are destroyed or removed the knot from his heart. So, the knots of the heart, what are called granthis, grantayah. Vidyate hriday grantihi chidyante sarva samshayaha. See, samshayaha chidyante, when the doubts are gone, to that extent, the knot becomes loose and loose and loose. Right? It is when we do not remove our doubts and we still don't trust the Shastra and Guru, tight it will remain. Because you are not allowing it to be loosened. And the loosening happens through vichar. Slowly, vichar karke, clearance of the doubt, slowly, the granthi. It's not that one day you take, okay, chalo, मैं देखूंगा इसके क्या होता है. So that's what he said, no, urdhva moolam adashagam ashrutam prahuravayam chandamsi yasya parnani yastam veda savedade adascha urdhvam prasadatasya shakaha gunapravruttaha vishaypravadaha asanga shastrena dridena chitva. So even though there it is given for a soldier, to Arjun, what kya karna hai? Take the sword of Asanga and cut. Whereas for a Upanishad student, remove the knot. slowly. Loosen the knot. Kranti betepi sambhavyaha ichchaha. But even as that the knots of the heart is removed due to the prarabdha vashat, ichcha sambhavyaha. Desires will be there, but it cannot be considered as a desire, as this it is to be termed as needed, required for the deha yatra, for the sake of continuation of this deha yatra. So the Mahatmas are untouched by the very desires that are taking place. So buddhva api, even then, papa bahulyat. So because of asantosho, but they are not asantosha, but they do not remain asantushta, because that is why I said atman evatmana tushta. He is tushta only, he is santushta only. So whereas others, papa bahulyas asantushta. So those who are those, buddhva api avivekina. Buddhva api, even they know, but they have not imbibed or completely taken to that knowledge, they still carry grocery bag. So then, kya kare? So, the grocery bag, they're not bad, but bag full of desires. Na? Okay, I want to finish this, I want this, I want this. So, papa bahulyat, one is not satisfied. Why? Because atmanyeva atmanaha, atmani eva atmana na santushta. One who is still not happy with one's own self. So, but whereas the Siddha Prajna, the very first thing is say, Prajahadi yata kaman sarvan parthamanogadan atmanyeva atmana tushtaha Siddha Prajna statochate. So, manogadan kaman asti, santi eva. They are there. Otherwise, you would say it's not there, but it is there. That's why he said Prajahadi. Prajahadi means he discards, he leaves away. So, in the case of Mahatma, it should not be there when you say, then where is the question of leaving? So मेरा नहीं है, उसको त्याग कर सकते हो मैं? I give up. What? I come to your home and say, I give up all the things that you have. It is not yours. So, manogadan kaman santi yatyapi tesham parityagah karoti. Parityagam karoti. So, he has removed them from being attached to that. Removed the attachment to that. Why? Atmanevatmana tushtaha. Continuing. Ahankaragate chatyai.
Ahankaragate
You can
chatyai.
come inside now, it's all over. Dehavyadhyadibhistata.
Dehavyadhyadivisthatha.
Vrikshadi janmanashairva.
Vrikshadi janmanashaiva.
Chitrupatmani kim bhaved.
Chitrupatmani kim bhavet.
Come on.
Keep silent.
Ahankaragade chatyaihi dehavyadhyadibhistada vrikshadi janmanashairva chitrupatmani kim bhavet. Do one thing, next week, this door will be closed. Let them all go from that side. That's easier. They can come. It's not necessary.
This is emergency door. We have to.
I know, but we can open from inside. वहां से बंद करके सब लोग वहां से जा सकते हैं. You can go from that side. That's the sound which you want to avoid. So now the person who has realized the highest truth, who has ahankaragati ichchadyaihi, the desire that are born out of this identification, etc., he would look at them like what? Like if there is a vriksha, there is a tree there somewhere outside. Vriksha adi janmanasha, the birth of or the growth of the tree and the destruction of the tree, etc. How does one feel as a witness and not as something happens to oneself? An external object like a vriksha in your backyard, when it is, you put the seed, etc., and slowly that thing comes out. Very good. It comes. And then it starts to grow, and then it's more leaves, and then the flowers, and then the fruits. You witness all of them, but not it is happening to you. It is happening outside you. As a witness, you can see that. Vriksha adi janmanashaihi, when it is happening with respect to objects outside like a tree, how one is able to look at it as not happening to oneself. In the same way, ahankara gatehi ichchadyaihi, the desire connected to the ahankara, etc., what are those? Deha vyadi adibihi tada. The desire, disease, etc., sickness, etc., that happens to the body, etc., also are seen or witnessed by him in the same kind of detachment. He doesn't deny it, but he watches, it happens, yes, let it happen. Because as I said, prarabdha vashatah. The prarabdha के वश में ऐसा होना ही होगा, होना ही होगा, right? होना ही था. What karma we have done in the past, we do not know. And accordingly, what actions and will result in what kind of a disease and sickness, we don't know. What is it? Can we predict how the body should be? What kind of sickness should come? We cannot decide. And we don't even know when it happens. Until it happens, we don't know, right? Until the doctor says, this is happening to you. Oh, why? Doctor will say, what do you mean by why? It happens to the body. As you grow old, it will happen. Slowly, slowly, the faculties will fail. Because I will become a frail. But you don't fail. Face it. So ahankaradi, ahankaragadi ichadhyaihi, because of the desires, etc., as well as deha vyadi adibihi, the sickness in the body, etc., etc. Tata vrikshadi janmanashairva chit rupa atmani kimbave. Does it anything to do with the atman, the self? See, it does not belong to the atman. This knowledge is very firmly rooted. Will it ever be connected to the self at all? Chidatmani kim bhaved? Kaisa hoga chit of the consciousness. So this not, therefore, it does not. This is how it doesn't affect it. And this knowledge is not merely intellectual. He had practiced this understanding and in the quiet hours of meditation, and make sure that in every day sitting quietly in solitude, he discards the identification again and again and again. That abhyasa, abhyada nishita kadgena, as it is said in Madhusudana Saraswati, abhyasa nishita kadgena chitva. With that sword of detachment, which is abhyasa ashma. Abhyasa is called ashma, the stone of practice on which the sword of detachment is being sharpened. Then he will no more remain as Venavati. He will no more remain as a butter knife. He will become a better knife. Otherwise, it will be only a butter knife. Butter knife is what? One can cut only the Indian butter. Somebody said, Swamiji, American butters are very strong. You cannot cut easily. Or it is like Mysore Pak original. You can cut with a very blunt knife also. But some people make Mysore Pak in such a way. You need a hammer and what is that called? Chisel. So ahankara gadi ichadhyaihi. So continuing, Granthi Vedat Purapyevam
Granthi Vedat Purapyevam
Iti Chetanna Vismara
Iti Chetanna Vismara
Ayameva Granthi Vedaha
Ayameva Granthi Vedaha
Tavatena Kriti Bhavan
Tavadena Kriti Bhavan
Granthi Vedat Purapyevam Iti Chetanna Vismara Ayameva Granthi Vedaha Tavatena Kriti Bhavan. So the Purvabakshi said, see, even before the so-called knot was not broken, Granthi Vedat Pura, here Veda to be taken as bid, to cut. So Granthi Nashat Pura, even before the destruction of this knot, consciousness always remained as independent, right? There is only apparent knot that is making us feel that it is bound. The bondage is not really there, apparently there before the knot was broken. Granthi Vedat Pura Api, before the knot was broken also. Evam eva iti, evam iti. Evam means Chidatma, that nature of the consciousness is always independent of all the various vikaras that are taking place. Body, mind, etc. All the vikaras do not affect consciousness. So, what is the then difference between before and after? As far as the consciousness is concerned, nothing. As far as the consciousness is concerned, before and after, there is no difference at all. It's always remained aloof. It's always remained unattached. So, Granti Vedat Purapyevam iti chet. If you say, then the Vedanta will say, that is what you should remember. पहले भी ऐसा था, बाद में भी ऐसा ही होगा. Otherwise, bondage will become real then. Bondage real, then there is no actual release then. Bondage being apparent, illusory, therefore, moksha is attainable. Otherwise, bondage, if it is real, it can never be broken. Our nature of Brahman is what? Moksha swarupa hi atma. Mukta swarupa hi atma. Even when the person is ignorant, the nature of consciousness is always free. Now, earlier you don't know, now you know it. Earlier it is not aparoksham, now it is paroroksham. So, Granti Vedat Purapyevam iti chet. If you understand, if somebody says that, Tat na vismara. Don't ever forget this. And so this forgetfulness is what is called Granti Veda. Hare Ayameva Granti Veda. What? Vismaranameva Granti Veda. Now you put down too. Actually it is not there. ये आप भूल गए ना? क्या भूल गया मैं मुक्त हूं, सदा मुक्त रूपोहम. इसका भूल जाना ही भ्रांति है. Because this not is not, as I said, is not. Not is not. The not is not knowing, not remembering. Vismaranam. Atmanaha vismritihi eva bandha karanam. Atmanaha mukti swarupa vismritihi. See, again going back to the example, the waker who's lying down, not remembering that he's lying down, is a state of swapna, right? Dream is the self-forgetfulness state. When one wakes up, what has happened? He remembers that he did not remember. He did not remember that he was lying down only. When he remembers that I have been all the time, even when I am going through the dream, I have been what I have been. What I have been is the truth. So, in the same way, Atma Mukta Rupaha iti sada smaranam karodiyah tasya granti vedanasti. To him that there is no not at all. Not at all. But therefore he says, Ayameva Granti Vedaha Tava. This is what is called Granti Veda. So, by knowing this, Tena Jnanena, Kriti Bhavan, you have become fulfilled now. Now you have become Moksha, Mukta Bhavan. Kriti means Krita Kritya. You have become freed now. So, this knowledge is very funny, right? जो आपको मालूम था, जो आप हो, whatever it is, ये आप जो भूल गया, उसको making you remember. What do you say Hindi में? How do you make you remember? Smaran. हाँ? करवाना, कराना, स्मरण कराना. No, make other person remember. Karana, no, corona nahi. Yaad dilana. That is Urdu, I think. Yaad dilana. Nahi? Hindi word. Smaran. That is in Smarana. Karana. Yaad dilana hai. So then that person who has realized that Yaad aa rahi hai. आत्मनः याद। मैं अभी नहीं भूल जाऊंगा, भूल गया सब कुछ। Because of this forgetfulness, याद नहीं अब कुछ। Oh, so that is the reason बंधनस्य कारण, भूल गया। भूल गया इसलिए मैं फूल हो गया। फूल फूल हो गया मैं। The whole world has fooled me because I have भूल गया। So that's why I say नैवं जानन्ति मूढाश्चेत्
नैवं जानन्ति मूढश्चेत्
सोऽयं ग्रन्थिर्न चापरः
सोऽयं ग्रन्थिर्न चापरः
ग्रन्थि तद्भेदमात्रेण
ग्रन्थि तद्भेदमात्रेण
वैषम्यं मूढबुद्धयोः
वैषम्यं मूढबुद्धयोः
नैवं जानन्ति मूढाश्चेत् सोऽयं ग्रन्थिर्न चापरः ग्रन्थि तद्भेदमात्रेण वैषम्यं मूढबुद्धयोः मूढाः न एवं जानन्ति। Those who are avivekis, those who are not thinking correctly, those who have been living in their nature of ignorance and not questioning at all, na evam jananti mudaha. They do not know this very well. This is the granthi. Ayam grantihi na cha aparaha. There is nothing other than that. So he simplified it so totally, completely here. What is that bondage? Grantihi, ayam eva grantihi. What is the granthi here? That there is the consciousness which is real and there is an apparent ahankar which is appearing to be like consciousness, which has been constantly running after all the desires and getting disappointed, getting disturbed, getting unhappy. There is no santushti at all. In spite of knowing also people are unhappy because of no attempt to realize. They're just keeping it there merely as a knowledge, but not exclusively seeing consciousness as independent of all this, because of which their desires never end. They're running after the desires never end. Their disappointments never end. Their sorrows never end. So, evam jananti moodaha chet saha ayam grantir nacha aparaha. Ayam grantihi. This is the only one which is considered as the knot of ignorance. So, nothing else. Granti beda matrena. Granti tad beda. Granti the knot and then knot of the knot. Granti, that so-called bondage which is between the Chidatma and the Ahankar, and Beda, that removal of that very Adhyasa, Anyonya Adhyasa, Matrena, Vaishamyam. The difference between what? Muda, Buddhayoho, Vaishamyam. The difference between Vaishamyam means the difference between the Mudaha and Buddhaha. Those who are foolish, Abhivekis, and Buddhaha, the one who has made the clear discrimination. Muda Buddhayoho Vaishavyam Be Kranti Tad Beda Matrena. It is the difference between the Muda and Buddhaha. The only difference is this: they know that the knot is not, and thereby they have snapped it. If it is real, there is no question of removing it, but it is apparent and illusory. And so existence of a doubt in the former group and the destruction of the later. Existence of doubt, what? Doubt in the form of there, who am I? मैं अहंकार हो या चिदात्मा हूं? That absence of clarity. Yeah, so when prarabdha comes, constantly keeps bombarding the person, if the absence of knowledge, one does not have even an opportunity to think about it, right? So how many of them who have the opportunity to think in this direction? So one may say that even in the opportunity comes, one does not take it. Konvasti moodhatma yastu swarte pramatyati. Right? Bhagavan Shankaracharya says, who is more foolish than in this world, who does not undertake this path and fails in that? Such a person is called one who has decided to commit suicide to himself. Self-suicide. Suicide obviously is self only. Suicidal. What? Knowingly one wants to kill himself. Deliberately killing oneself. If somebody kills is a different thing. This is killing himself. Soyam grantihi. So, Muda buddhayo vaishamyam. So the granthi is the apparent knot or connection between ahankara and chit consciousness. And Veda here means that removing of that connection between these two, anyonya adhyasa nivrittihi eva Vedaha. Here again the word bid is to be used. Veda is not the difference, but bid is to cut. Vidyate, hridaya granthi, vidyate. Continuing here, pravruttau cha nivruttau cha. Sorry, pravruttau va nivruttau va. Dehendriyamanodiyam. Na kinchitapi vaishamyam. Astyajnana nivrutti atyajnana. Sorry, atyajnani vibuddhayo. Pravruttau va nivruttau va dehendriyamanodiyam na kinchidapi vaishamyam astyajnani vibuddhayo. So when the body is engaged in various things in the world called pravrutti, waking state is pravrutti according to the needs of the body as per the social, animal and individual, and getting up and then taking shower and then eating breakfast and then doing various activities and then meeting people and then doing various work and taking up various tasks, completing it, and then all that is pravrutti. Then at the end of the day when one starts to withdraw from all of them and going to sleep, nivritti. Or doing actions which are to be done, pravritti. Those who are prohibited action, nivritti. Those who are useful to a person, pravritti. Those who are not useful, nivritti. So, pravritto va nivritto va deha indriya manodiyam of my body, mind, senses, etc. In that, ajnani विद्बुद्धयोः न किंचिदपि वैषम्यम अस्ति. उसमें कोई भेद नहीं होता है, वैषम्य between अज्ञानी and विबुद्ध. So one cannot, based upon how and what a person engages in, one cannot determine that he is a jnani, is a jnani. So that's why Bhagavan Shankara Krishna also said, na buddhi bedam janayet ajnaninam karma sanginam joshayet sarva karmani vidvan yukta samacharan. A jnani also would engage exactly like a jnani in actions. He will not unsettle the mind of an ajnani. And he will work shoulder to shoulder with all others But the major difference between these two are is not external at all. यहाँ होता है मुक्ति. Externally कंडरुंटमाला बहुत ज़्यादा. ये करने से merely by that one does not become mukta. By externally wearing all sort of things, can one really be free? And if one is really be free, he has to do anything external then? One is who is really free because of the knowledge. How does it matter? How does it externally appear? Does it even care about that? One who has become free, he gives least importance to what others even think about him. Because he knows he's free. But why should he be acknowledged by everybody? By acknowledged by everybody, does he become free then? You are mukta. Oh, I know that. Okay, if you all say so. आप सबको मालूम है, सब सोचते हो मैं मुक्त हूँ. हाँ, अच्छा ठीक है, मैं मुक्त हूँ. Acknowledgement from other people make you liberated, or if you are truly liberated, you need an acknowledgement from anybody. So if I am hungry and I ate and I am content with that, if others don't believe, does it make me discontent then? आप नहीं खाया. So even when we are eating, I tell people, much I'm eating, okay? Afterward, don't say that I didn't eat. तो मैंने नहीं डाला, उसने किया पता होता है. मैंने खा लिया. I didn't serve you, therefore you didn't eat. अच्छा मैं इंतजार करूँ, आप आओ, डालो. So, my hunger is over by eating. I need not have to prove to you. Similarly, if one has liberated, what is the need for others to approve that? So externally, that individual will be engaging or disengaging based upon his needs. Pravrittau va nivrittau va tehendra manodiyam na kinchitapi vaishamyam asti. No difference at all in that. But between what? Ajnani vibuddhayoho na vaishamyam asti. There is no distinct difference between the jnani and ajnani. Ajnasya vijnasya masti vishvam. Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi says, Ajnasya cha vijnasya cha vishvam asti. The world is the same. Body is there. Everything else is there. But the way they look at it, there is a major difference. For one, the body alone is Satyam. Body and the world alone is Satyam. For the other, the one who is a Jnani, other than the self, there is nothing is Satyam there. That's the difference. So from the point of view of the body, senses, mind, actually, there is no difference between the ignorant and the illumined when they engage themselves in action and abstain from what is not to be done. All right, let's see more of it in the next session. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayaha, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschit Dukkhavat Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.